He said he was paid to protect me. Turns out, I was the payday. If you believe fate can be cruel, hit subscribe. Because this is my confession. How I hired a quiet, brooding bodyguard after the threats started, only to learn the ugliest truth. The threats came from my estranged pack, the family that once branded me a liability, and now wanted me back to breed. I'm Lyra Quinn, 27. PR manager with a black belt in apologies for other people's bad decisions. I drink coffee like it's penance and pretend I'm normal. I'm not. I'm a dormant omega. My scent locked down since childhood. My memories edited. Owning it would have been easier if my bodyguard hadn't been an alpha assigned to protect me the second that scent started to slip. What happens when the wolf sent to guard you is also the one sent to deliver you? Keep listening. The bite wasn't what broke me. The truth did. If you've ever been burned by family and branded by fate, subscribe. I'm about to light a match. Chapter 1. The Hire. The first envelope was white and expensive, the kind that feels like money and bad news. No return address, no stamp. Just slid under my apartment door like a snake under a fence. Inside, a single line in tight, efficient handwriting. "We've found you, little Luna." I laughed. Then I took a picture and sent it to my best friend Maddie with the caption, "Tell your true crime podcast to stop fan-mailing me." 5 minutes later, a second picture landed in my messages. Maddie's reply, a selfie of her deadpan glare. "Maddie, this isn't cute. Call the cops." "On what?" I said to my empty kitchen. "Being creepy and cursive?" I tossed the paper into the junk drawer and told myself it belonged with the takeout menus and the 5 different Allen wrenches I was apparently too emotionally attached to throw away. 20 minutes later, I took it back out and shoved it under the toaster because I didn't like the way the word "found" kept staring. I should have listened to Maddie. 2 days later, I pulled into the garage beneath my building and saw it. A note taped to my steering wheel with blue painter's tape, neat as a hallmark of obsession. "Your scent is breaking through. Come home before they do." The words crawled over my skin. Scent. Home. Something deep in my chest. Older than language. Stirred. Irritated like a sleeping cat prodded with a fork. I locked my doors. I checked my back seat like a woman in a horror film who absolutely heard the violin sting. Nothing. Just the stale perfume of old coffee and my gym bag sulking in the corner. I went upstairs and bolted the door, then did what any rational adult would do. I didn't sleep. I watched a true crime marathon until 4 a.m., learned 7 new ways to avoid being murdered in a parking lot, and invented 3 of my own. Number 3 includes screaming, "I pay rent here," at shadows. So far, highly effective. By morning, my eyes felt sandpapered, and my pulse had learned to double time without me. I still went to work. PR doesn't pause for personal doom. My current crisis was a pop star caught licking a gemstone at a museum opening because it spoke to her. I wrote an apology that made gem communion sound like an immersive art experience and not a felony flirtation. Spin is an art. So is lying to yourself about what scares you. At lunch, Maddie yanked me into a booth at our corner Thai place and slid a matte black business card across the table like it was contraband. Raised silver letters, no logo. Just a name and a number, Vale Security. "Absolutely not," I said. "Absolutely yes," she said. "You live alone. You ignore your neighbors. You think cameras are a government hobby. You need muscle, I need dumplings. You need a man who could make a door change its mind." "Sounds exhausting," I said, but my fingers were already on the card. The stock was thick enough to be a weapon. The name felt heavy in my hand, like a door hinge. Vale. The word sounded like a shadow. "Please," Maddie said, "just talk to him." I wanted to say no on principle. I said yes because the word sent wouldn't leave. Because the note's handwriting looked weirdly familiar in a way I couldn't place, like something I'd traced as a kid, because sometimes the body remembers what the brain edited out. I called that night. A low voice answered on the second ring. "Vale, Hi, I said. I'm Lyra. I know who you are. The line went quiet. I heard myself swallow. Do I want to know how? You're on a list, he said, and then almost kindly. Referrals. No need for alarm. Oh, good, I said. I hate alarm. I prefer mild concern and an easy-to-assemble IKEA panic, a pause. I could feel his attention through the phone like heat rising off asphalt. I'll be there in 20. Excuse me? Don't answer the door for anyone else, he said, and hung up. I stared at my phone like it had just proposed. 22 minutes later, someone knocked. 3 sharp raps, commanding. Not a, hey, it's Postmates knock. This door is not your boss. I am, knock. I checked the peephole. The hallway light caught on a man built like a verdict. Broad shoulders, black jacket, black t-shirt, black jeans, boots that looked like they'd been places they refused to discuss. Dark hair cut close. A scar slicing one eyebrow. Faint white against tan. Eyes the color of a storm convinced it had a point to prove. I opened the door with the chain still latched. Lyra Quinn? He asked. And you're Mr. Vale Security. Damien Vale, he said. May I come in? Do we do normal greetings where you're from, Damien, or do you just loom professionally? His mouth did not smile. His eyes did, barely. A flicker like a secret. Keys, he said. Excuse me? Hand me your keys. And your phone. I'm going to sweep your place for trackers, cameras, and anything else you don't want in your bathtub. I wanted to argue on principle. I wanted to assert dominance over my personal space. Instead, I handed him my keys and my phone like a woman who has, A, watched too many documentaries, and B, done a quick risk calculation, and decided that if this man wanted to kill me, he could do it with a curtain rod and a positive attitude. He moved through my apartment with the soundless efficiency of a cat burglar and the posture of a fed-up saint. He checked the peephole, the window sashes, the outlets, the smoke detector, my potted ficus, which has done nothing to anyone, and the underside of my kitchen table. He asked for my Wi-Fi password like a confession, then did something arcane with my router that made it blink like it had opinions. Clean, he said finally. That's good? It's unusual, he said, for a woman to live alone without cameras in her shampoo. Honestly, that's my baseline prayer. For a client to get hand-delivered notes and not be under active surveillance, he said. Stalkers like trophies. They like to watch Maybe They're Shy, I said. Humor, my favorite life jacket. He studied me. In that moment, I felt it. A peculiar prickle at the base of my skull. Not fear. Not exactly. Recognition? His gaze was clinical, but it softened at the edges like he was remembering something he didn't want to. He pulled a sleek folder from his jacket and set it on the counter. Contract, scope boundaries, the usual. He slid me a pen. 7-day term, he said. I set your routes. I control ingress and egress. You don't deviate without my approval, so you're my parole officer. Your security consultant. Tomato, tomato. You should also carry this, he said, producing a small canister from his pocket. Pepper spray? I asked. Fox Labs 5.3, he said. I don't speak pepper. The nuclear option, he said. Perfect, because nothing says dateable like accidentally maced myself in the face. His mouth almost smiled again, the ghost of a smirk. It startled me how much I wanted to see the whole thing, the full warmth of it. Like sunlight after a winter that stayed too long. I signed. He countersigned with the kind of precise signature that belongs to people who measure twice and cut once. The ink glittered. He smelled faintly of smoke and pine. My chest ached. Something in me leaned, not my body exactly, but deeper, like an old compass aligning. I blamed the coffee, the adrenaline, the fact that he was extremely good at existing in space. Tell me about the notes, he said. I led him to the junk drawer, then remembered I'd moved the first one under the toaster because I didn't like its face. It's here. Don't judge. He lifted the toaster with 2 fingers and retrieved the envelope. He didn't touch the paper inside, just tilted it to the light, nostrils flaring the tiniest bit as if scent could read. Then he photographed it, slow and methodical. He repeated the process with the second note, the blue tape still folded at the corners like a bow. You said the handwriting felt familiar, he said. I didn't say that, I said, and then because his eyebrow did a quiet, devastating arc. Fine. It does. I don't know how childhood, he asked. How do you— I've seen it before, he said. Patterns. People who run often run from the same ghosts, I bristled. What do you mean, people who run? He looked at me then. Really looked. Not at my hair or my shoes or the anxiety drilling Morse code into my knuckles, but at the place I hide in plain sight. The part that has always known doors and windows before walls. You move like you listen for exits, he said softly. I swallowed. He wasn't wrong. I just didn't like being read by a stranger with shoulders that made my stove feel underqualified. He set the notes down. We'll change your routines. I'll handle transport to and from work, full sweep of your office. And you'll stay with me tonight. Hard pass, I said, smiling sharp. I don't do sleepovers with men whose cheekbones could cut glass. Your building door logs show someone tailgated into the lobby at 1:17 a.m. yesterday with a baseball cap pulled low, he said. Either it's your neighbor's bad boyfriend, or it's someone who wanted to be close enough to listen. How, your superintendent is cooperative when you ask the right questions, he said. Pack a bag. The word pack made my ribs tighten, a nonsensical reaction. I ignored it. You do realize how serial killer that sounds. If I wanted to hurt you, he said calmly, you wouldn't have opened the chain. Comforting, I muttered, but my feet were already moving. Socks, toothbrush, the sweater that smells like rain if rain had a credit score. I threw everything into a weekender and tried not to notice how my hands shook. He took the bag from me and slung it over his shoulder like it weighed nothing. He checked the hallway, put a palm lightly at the small of my back, and guided me out. Something electric went through me, a shock, then heat, then a slow, treacherous bloom. My breath snagged. He froze too. The contact lasted a second, maybe 2. It was enough to set off alarms I didn't know I owned. We didn't speak in the elevator. In the garage, my car waited obediently in space 27 like a dog that knows only one trick. Damien scanned, cleared, and dismissed it with a flick of his gaze. His SUV sat 3 rows over, black of course, the kind of vehicle that looks like it files taxes for its emotions. Front or back? I said, trying for breezy and landing somewhere near-winded. Front, he said. I need to see you. I bit my tongue on the first dozen responses that arrived, none of them safe on a first day with a man who could fold me into a suitcase and mail me to my better judgment. We pulled out into the night. The city hummed. Sodium lights painted everything the mean color of tired. I stared at the passing storefronts and thought of the word scent, hated it. And then, because my brain is a traitor, wondered what his smelled like up close. At a red light he said, Lyra. If anything feels wrong, anything, you tell me. Body memory is faster than logic. I felt the words like a key turning in a door I didn't acknowledge existed. You're very confident for a man who just met me. I'm very good at my job, he said, and glanced at me. Something flared in the space between us, bright and undeniable like striking a match in a vacuum. His pupils widened. Mine did too. The air thickened, pine and smoke and something I couldn't name, something that made the back of my tongue ache. Do you smell that? I whispered, not sure why I was whispering. He did not answer. He white-knuckled the steering wheel and rolled through the green light like a man who'd been punched by God and was determined to pretend it hadn't happened. We reached his building, a converted warehouse with exposed brick and opinions about rent. He parked underground, ushered me into a private elevator, and keyed in a code. Top floor? I asked. Do you brood better with a view? He didn't rise to the bait. The doors opened onto a loft that managed to be both Spartan and expensive. Steel beams, concrete floors softened by wool rugs, kitchen counters like continents, a wall of windows pouring in city glow, everything in grayscale except a single plant thriving like it knew secrets. "Guest room is left," he said. "Bathroom stocked." "You'll sleep with the door locked." "Chivalry," I said. "How retro." "Protocol," he said, and then, with a hesitation I wouldn't have noticed if I wasn't already tuning myself to him like a radio, "Lyra, I need you to listen. If you wake up feeling different, hot, restless, call me." I laughed too quickly. "Do I look like a woman who accidentally gets into tantric yoga at 3 a.m.? His jaw flexed. "Just call." "Fine," I said, and shouldered my bag. I made it 3 steps down the hall before I looked back. He was still watching me, not possessive, not predatory, protective in a way that felt older than us, older than this city and its slick, hungry streets. An ache started behind my sternum, ache as memory, ache as recognition, and I hated it enough to smile at him like a weapon. "Good night, Mr. Vale." "Good night, Lyra." I showered too long, scalding the last of the fear from my skin. I texted Maddie I was alive, attached a photo of the guest room, big bed, clean lines, a view that made the moon look like it was performing for tips, and set my phone on the nightstand. Sleep came in pieces. First, the easy kind, the drop through darkness. Then the other kind, the kind with teeth. I dreamed of a white room, a woman with silver eyes and a necklace that burned against my chest. A voice saying, "Breathe, little one." A metal door with claw marks. I understood the way you understand your own handwriting. A vow whispered into my hair. "I swear it in blood. I'll keep you hidden. I'll keep you safe." I woke hot, heart racing, everything inside me pulled to a single point like iron to a magnet. The city had gone quiet. The kind of quiet that isn't silence so much as anticipation. I slid my hand across the sheet. It came away shaking. And then I smelled it. Pine and smoke and something I knew in my marrow. Not from the hallway, not from the air vent. From me. From inside me, opening like a flower that had tried its best not to bloom. I stood on legs that didn't feel strictly borrowed, crossed the hall, and found him in the kitchen, barefoot, t-shirt soft with age, sweatpants slung low. He looked up, and everything snapped. His eyes went wolf-bright. Mine went wide. "Damien," I whispered, like it was already happening, like it had always been happening. He inhaled slowly, throat working, a growl tripping low in his chest and dying there because he forced it to. "Lyra," he said, voice roughened, "we have a problem. Be honest, if your protector's eyes went wolf-bright when he smelled you, would you run or lean in?" Chapter 2. The scent beneath the skin. If fear had a taste, it would be copper and regret. That's what sat on my tongue as I stared at Damien Vale, my newly hired bodyguard, standing barefoot in his kitchen, eyes glowing like a warning from a world I didn't believe in until about 5 seconds ago. "We have a problem," he said again. "Define problem," I managed, though my voice came out softer than I liked. Because in PR terms, that can mean anything from bad headlines to a full-scale apocalypse. He didn't laugh. Of course he didn't. The man was built from silence and trauma, probably alphabetized it before breakfast. He dragged a hand down his face, his jaw flexing like he was arguing with himself. "Your scent," he said finally, voice low and rough, like gravel over velvet. "It's changing." "Changing?" I blinked. "What, like puberty part 2? Please tell me this doesn't end with acne." He didn't answer. His nostrils flared, and I realized, mortifyingly, that he was smelling the air, smelling me. "You need to sit down," he said. "No, I need to understand why you're giving me that look like I'm a rotisserie chicken you suddenly have feelings for." That got a sound out of him, half growl, half laugh, but it died quick. He turned his back, braced his palms against the counter, and muttered something under his breath I couldn't catch. The muscles in his shoulders rolled like waves under stormlight. I should have been scared. I wasn't. Instead, that strange heat from earlier climbed higher, pooling in my throat behind my ribs. My skin itched under my sweatshirt, not from fear but from something ancient, restless. "Damien," I said softly, "what's happening to me?" He faced me again, and the way he looked at me, it wasn't pity. It wasn't lust. It was recognition, painful, reluctant, familiar. "You were supposed to stay hidden," he said. That word again, hidden. From what? Creeps with stationery? He hesitated, then reached into the drawer beside him, pulling out one of the notes, the one that said, "Your scent is breaking through." He laid it between us like evidence in a trial neither of us wanted. They weren't threats, Lyra. They were warnings. Warnings from who? Your pack. I laughed. Cute. You think I'm part of some Wolf of Wall Street cult? His eyes didn't blink, didn't waver. "No," he said quietly, "not cult. Pack. You were born one of us, one of what, exactly?" The word felt ridiculous in my mouth, but something deeper, older, purred when I said it. "Shifters," he said. The world tilted. I sat down hard. "Okay, sure. And next you'll tell me my Amazon deliveries come from fairies and my dentist is a vampire." "Lyra," he said again, more urgent this time. "Think about it. The dreams, the scent, the notes, the speed your cuts heal, my throat closed. How do you... He lifted my hand. The one I'd sliced last week on a glass while making dinner. It had already healed, no scar, just smooth skin. I'd brushed it off, thought maybe it wasn't as deep as it looked. But Damien was staring at it like it confirmed every terrible thing he'd just said. "There are no humans who heal that fast," he murmured. "And there are no Omegas who can hide it forever." Omegas. That word slid through me like déjà vu. He crouched in front of me, eyes locked on mine. "You were born an Omega, Lyra. That means your scent, your energy. It calls to alphas. It draws them, protectors, hunters. Anyone tied to the bloodline?" I laughed again because I didn't know what else to do. "I can't even call an Uber without anxiety." I don't think I'm calling anyone. But inside, something thrummed. A low vibration, deep and bone level, like my body recognized a song my mind forgot. I stood pacing. "You're insane." "Maybe," he said. "But that doesn't make it untrue." He moved toward me, slow, cautious, like a man approaching a wild animal he both respected and feared. "When did the nightmares start?" I hesitated. "A week ago." "What do you dream of?" "A white room, a door with claw marks, a woman with eyes like yours." He froze. "Silver?" I nodded. "That was your mother," he said quietly. I stopped breathing. "My mother died when I was 5. Car crash. Everyone lied." It hit like a slap. "You don't know anything about her," I snapped. "I do," he cut in, "because she was Luna to the Crescent Hollow Pack. My alpha's mate. And your mother." My stomach dropped. "What did you just say?" "She died protecting you," he said. "There was a war, one your father started. He made a deal with the council to trade his own bloodline for power. You and your mother escaped, but not far. You were hidden among humans. Suppressed. Your scent, your instincts, everything that made you what you are," I laughed shakily. "That's absurd. It's survival." He stepped closer, eyes glowing faintly under the dim kitchen light. "You were protected by an ancient spell, one that locked away your nature. But it's fading. The moment your scent breaks through, your father's pack will come for you." "Why?" I whispered. "Because Omegas are rare. And you're the last heir of your mother's line. They want your bloodline back, for breeding, for control." My hands shook. That's Disgusting. That's politics, he said bitterly. In our world. I took a step back. And what about you, Damien? What's your world? He hesitated. I was assigned to protect you. By who? By the same council that your father betrayed. So you're one of them. He didn't deny it. He didn't confirm it either. You were supposed to be my bodyguard, I said. Not my... whatever this is. His jaw tightened. I am your bodyguard. Then why do you look like you're in pain every time I breathe? He exhaled hard, like holding something in for too long. Because the moment your scent hit the air, my instincts recognized you. Recognized me. As mine. The silence after that sentence was a live wire. That's inconvenient, I said weakly, because humor was all I had left. He huffed a breath that might have been a laugh. You have no idea. The air between us thickened again, electric, too charged for comfort. The scent I hadn't noticed before, pine, smoke, something darkly sweet, wrapped around us, dizzying. My heart skipped a beat, then another. We can't, he said suddenly, stepping back. Can't what? I asked, throat dry. This. Whatever this is. You're under my protection. That's all right, I said, trying to sound cool while my pulse screamed liar in Morse code. Just protection. Got it. But as I turned away, I caught a glimpse of his reflection in the window. The faint shimmer of something not entirely human in his eyes, and the shadow of a wolf standing behind him. For a second I thought I imagined it. Then the growl came. Low, guttural, unmistakably real, echoing through the night from somewhere outside. Damien's head snapped toward the window. His whole body went still. They found us, he said. And before I could ask who they were, he was already moving, grabbing a gun, a blade, and my hand. Lyra, he said, his voice dropping to something primal. Whatever happens, stay behind me. Would you trust the man who just told you you're not human to be your only protection from the monsters outside? Chapter 3. Moonlight and gunfire. The first sound wasn't the growl. It was the whisper of metal. The faint scrape of claws, or maybe boots, against the outer railing of the loft balcony. A shift in the air, subtle but wrong, like the city itself was holding its breath. Damien's hand found my wrist before my brain caught up. His grip was firm, grounding but careful, as if touching me burned and steadied him all at once. Don't speak, he murmured. Not even sarcastically, I whispered, because terror makes me funny. His mouth twitched. Especially not sarcastically. He moved with silent precision, retrieving a matte black handgun from the kitchen drawer like he'd been born expecting an ambush. Then a long silver knife, curved like a crescent moon. That blade didn't look military, it looked ancestral. The growl came again, closer this time, low, hungry, familiar. I felt it in my bones before I heard it. Like my blood recognized the sound and decided to panic in advance. Damien, stay behind me, Lyra. The lights flickered. The scent of rain and metal rushed in through the window seams. I could have sworn the temperature dropped 10 degrees, and then something hit the balcony doors so hard the glass shuddered. A shape, a silhouette too large, too fast. For one insane second I thought maybe it was a bear. Then the light shifted, and I saw glowing gold eyes and fur black as spilled ink. Wolves, standing on 2 legs. That's not, I began. It is, Damien said, voice clipped. Stay down. He fired once. The shot cracked through the apartment, echoing against steel beams. The glass spiderwebbed but didn't shatter. The figure ducked, snarled, and disappeared over the edge of the balcony. Who the hell keeps a pack on speed dial? I hissed, crouching behind the couch. Your family, he said grimly. My stomach flipped. My family sent werewolves to drag me home? Why not just send a guilt text like normal people? No answer. He was already at the door, checking the locks, scanning the hallway with those silver eyes now glowing faintly again. I pressed my palms to my temples. The pounding wasn't just fear anymore. It was something inside me, awake, alert, whispering in a language I didn't understand. I smelled pine and wet earth. I heard heartbeats, plural, not just Damien's, outside, moving closer. "They're circling," I said before I realized I'd said it. Damien froze. "How do you know that?" I blinked. Then I did. I heard it. The scrape of claws, the pant of breath. I looked at him. "I can hear them." He exhaled slowly, eyes softening for half a second. "Your instincts are breaking through. Good. You'll need them," I wanted to argue, but another snarl cut through the air, and this time one of the balcony doors exploded inward. The creature barreled through, massive, fur bristling, eyes gold and wild. A scar split its muzzle, its teeth were too long, too human. Damien didn't hesitate. He dropped the gun, and shifted. It didn't happen like in the movies. No bones cracking, no CGI agony, just a ripple. His form blurred, shimmered, and then he wasn't Damien Vale the man anymore. He was bigger, darker, fur-streaked silver under the moonlight that poured through the broken glass. A wolf. But more than that, an alpha. I should have screamed. Instead, something inside me answered. My pulse synced with his growl. The air around us hummed. The attacking wolf lunged. Damien met it mid-air, claws flashing. The sound was thunder and rage, flesh and power colliding. I ducked as they slammed into the concrete floor, rolling, furniture shattered. My toaster died a heroic death. For a blur of seconds, there was only motion. Fur, blood, teeth, and that low, bone-deep growl vibrating through me like a drumbeat from another life. When it ended, Damien stood over the fallen creature, chest heaving, fangs slick with blood. The other wolf whimpered once and went still. He turned toward me, eyes molten silver now, and something in me bowed. Not out of fear, but recognition, submission laced with defiance, the kind that burns both ways. He shifted back. One breath, two, and he was human again. Barefoot, shirt torn, chest marked with faint silver lines that healed as I watched. "You're bleeding," I whispered, stepping toward him. "Not my blood," he said. He looked at me like the world had narrowed to the space between us. "You saw it," he said softly. "You believe it now." I nodded slowly. "Yeah, and I'd like to unsubscribe from whatever the hell that was." He almost smiled. Almost. Too late. Then his phone buzzed. He glanced at it and his jaw tightened. "What?" I asked. "They know where you are." That was just the first wave. The first what now? He holstered the gun, grabbed a small black duffel, and tossed me a hoodie. "We move." "Now, where are we going?" "Somewhere they can't follow." "Somewhere warded, I repeated. "You're just throwing fantasy terms out now, huh?" He met my gaze. "You think this is fantasy?" "Look outside, Lyra." I turned. The city lights were still glowing, but the moon above them hung unnaturally bright. Huge, red-tinged. My reflection in the window looked wrong. My eyes glowed faintly gold. "What's happening to me?" I whispered. "You're waking up," he said, "and every shifter in 100 miles can feel it." I laughed, but it came out shaky. "So I'm basically a supernatural Wi-Fi hotspot." He actually smiled this time, a ghost of warmth, small but real. "Exactly. And you're my, what? Antivirus? More like your firewall. Cute. Effective." He held the door open, every muscle alert. "Stay close. Don't speak to anyone. If you see silver eyes that aren't mine, run." "Run?" I asked, stepping into the hallway. He glanced over his shoulder, eyes still half glowing. "Because if they catch your scent now, Lyra, they won't ask. They'll claim we hit the street." The night air was electric, thick with something primal. I could feel the city breathing. Every sound too sharp, every scent too clear. As we slipped into the SUV, I caught the faintest movement across the street. A figure watching from the shadows. A woman this time. Silver hair, eyes that gleamed even from 50 feet away. My pulse stuttered. "Damien, she's watching." He followed my gaze and froze. "Get down," he ordered. The woman smiled. Then she raised a hand and whispered something I didn't hear, but felt. Pain exploded in my chest, white hot, searing through my ribs like liquid fire. I screamed. Damien reached for me, shouting my name. And the last thing I saw before the world went black was that woman's face, smiling, tears in her silver eyes. "Found you, little Luna." Chapter 4. The Mark Beneath the Skin. When I woke, it wasn't to sunlight. It was to silence. Heavy, weighted, expectant silence. The kind that feels alive. The kind that waits. The first thing I saw was stone, rough, dark, ancient. The second was firelight, orange and slow, dancing over the walls of what looked like a room carved out of the earth itself. I wasn't in Damien's loft anymore. I wasn't even sure I was in the same world. My head pounded like I'd been dunked in thunder. Every heartbeat echoed through me. My mouth tasted like metal and smoke. Then I heard it, the low rumble of his voice. "Easy, Lyra. You're safe, Damien." He sat in a worn leather chair beside the bed, shirtless, bandaged, eyes half-shadowed in the firelight. A blade rested across his knees, its edge catching the glow like a promise. "Safe," I rasped. "You define that word differently than most people." He huffed out something between a sigh and a laugh. "You're alive. That's a start. Where are we?" "The Hollow," I frowned. "That's not ominous at all. It's an old safe house, beneath the mountains, hidden from every pack radar and spell for miles." He stood, moving with that controlled grace that made me suspicious of everything about him. The faint scent of pine and smoke still clung to him, sharper now, edged with something wilder. When he turned, I caught a glimpse of a fresh scar on his shoulder, already fading. "You healed that fast?" "Perks of being an alpha," he said. "We don't stay broken long." He stopped at the bedside, eyes scanning me like he was cataloging damage. "How do you feel?" I almost said, like a truck ran me over. But paused, because the truth was stranger. My body felt different, alive in a way that bordered on uncomfortable. My hearing was sharper. I could make out the faint drip of water somewhere down the hall. My skin tingled with awareness. Every flicker of firelight, every breath he took, every shift of his weight. I felt it. "Heightened," I whispered. He nodded once. "It's begun." "What has?" He hesitated. Then, quietly, "The awakening." I sat up, wincing as a muscle pulled. "You're going to have to do better than cryptic prophecy hour, Damien." He didn't smile. He rarely did. When an Omega's suppression breaks, their instincts flood back in waves. The body remembers what the mind's forgotten. Scent, strength, bond recognition. "It's primal bond recognition," I repeated. That sounds like the part in horror movies where the scientist says, "Don't panic right before everyone dies." "It's not fatal," he said, "but it's intense." I eyed him. "Intense? How?" His gaze flicked away to the wall. "You'll feel drawn, overwhelmed, like every cell in your body is trying to find equilibrium. And what exactly balances it?" "Your alpha." Silence. "You mean you?" He met my eyes. "Yes." My pulse spiked. "Great. Love that for me. My biology is now clingy." He almost smiled again, faint, tired. "That's one way to put it." I swung my legs off the bed, immediately regretting it when the room tilted. He caught me before I hit the floor, one arm sliding under my knees, the other steadying my back. It should have felt embarrassing. It didn't. It felt electric. My breath hitched. His eyes darkened. The air between us changed, thickened, charged, alive. "Lyra," he warned, "I'm not—" "You are," he said. "You're scenting." He said it like a curse, like a plea. I blinked. You're telling me I'm... what? Exuding pheromones now? You're broadcasting, he said roughly. Every alpha in a mile radius would feel it if this place wasn't sealed. It's your nature trying to connect my nature, the thing I'd never known I had. So this is what they want me for, I said bitterly, to turn me into a walking mating beacon. He didn't deny it. His jaw flexed. You're worth more than what they see you as, he said finally. That's why your mother hid you. Tell me about her. He looked surprised. You remember her? I shook my head. Just flashes. Silver eyes, a necklace, a voice saying, "Breathe, little one." He nodded slowly. That was Luna Mira. She ruled the Crescent Hollow Pack with compassion and fury. When your father betrayed the council, he tried to claim her bond for himself. She refused and paid the price. He killed her? Not directly. He sold her location. Hunters finished the rest. The words hit like shards of glass. And me? She gave you to a witch, he said. A friend. The witch sealed your instincts, rewrote your scent. You've lived human ever since, until now. He nodded. Until now. I stared into the fire, the flames warping his reflection into something monstrous and beautiful. So, what happens next? I grow fur and start howling at delivery drivers? Not unless you want to, he said deadpan. That earned a laugh out of me. Shaky, but real. Then, quieter. You said the mark will show. He nodded. All true Omegas carry one, a birthmark that activates once their blood stirs. It's how packs identify lineage. Where? Usually over the heart. I glanced down. Convenient. At least it's symmetrical. But then the heat came, a sudden searing pulse beneath my collarbone. I gasped. The fire dimmed for a second. Or maybe the world just tilted. Lyra! Damien was beside me instantly, his hand pressed lightly over the spot. His palm was hot, too hot, and the mark beneath my skin answered. A glowing pattern spread outward, intricate silver-gold veins forming a crescent with a line of ancient runes spiraling toward the center. The pain ebbed, leaving behind a strange ache. When I looked up, Damien's pupils were blown wide. What does it say? I asked, voice barely a whisper. It's your bloodline's sigil, he said. It hasn't been seen in decades. They'll know you've awakened. They already tried to kill me. No, he said, eyes dark. They tried to capture you. They won't stop until they succeed. So what's the plan? He hesitated, then, we find the witch who sealed you. She's the only one who can hide you again, or teach you to control what's coming. And if we don't? His gaze met mine, steady but shadowed. Then they'll claim you. And I'll have to choose between my orders and you. Something broke inside me, quiet, clean, like glass underfoot. And which one wins? I asked softly. Ask me again when you're not glowing, he said. Hours later, when he thought I'd fallen asleep, I heard him pacing. His low growl echoed down the corridor, the sound of a man at war with instinct. And for the first time, I realized it wasn't just my awakening that scared him. It was his. Chapter 5. The Blood Oath. I'd always thought middle of nowhere was an exaggeration. Turns out it's a real place. And we were driving through it. Damien's SUV hummed over a narrow mountain road that looked like it had been carved by regrets and bad decisions. Dense pines rose on either side, whispering secrets in the wind. My reflection in the passenger window looked pale, tired, and faintly different. The faint shimmer of the crescent mark still glowed under my collarbone, hidden beneath a borrowed hoodie. My heartbeat felt louder than the engine. So, let me get this straight, I said, breaking the hour-long silence. We're driving to find a witch who erased my identity in hopes she can teach me to control it again? Yes. And you just know where she lives? She owes me a favor. From what, exactly? Saving her from a demon? Fixing her Wi-Fi? That earned me a half smirk. I killed her husband. I blinked. You're joking, right? He was possessed, Damien said. Mostly. Mostly? Great. Love the moral gray area. The corner of his mouth twitched, but his eyes stayed on the road. That was the thing about Damien. He was like a storm that never completely left the horizon. Even when he was calm, you could feel the thunder. The safe house tunnels had emptied into this forest road just before dawn. We'd been driving ever since. No music, no radio, just tension and caffeine. Somewhere behind us, the pack was hunting. I could feel it now, a pull, faint but insistent, like gravity with bad intentions. You sense them, don't you? He asked quietly. I swallowed. Like static at the back of my skull. That's the bond, he said. Not with me, with your bloodline. It's their call. The stronger you get, the louder they'll call. That's comforting. It's supposed to terrify you, he said. It means the tether isn't broken. I turned in my seat. Then why are you still here, Damien? If you're bound to them, shouldn't you have dragged me back already? His knuckles tightened on the wheel. Because I made a blood oath to protect you. Even if that means defying every command I've ever been given, so that's why you keep saving me? No, he said, softer now. That's why I started. We reached the witch's place just as the fog began to lift. An old cabin tucked between fir trees, half swallowed by ivy. It looked abandoned until the door creaked open by itself. She knows we're here, Damien muttered. Fantastic, I said. Does she also know I haven't had breakfast? He shot me a look. Stay close. I'd follow you anywhere, Mr. Vale, I said, too lightly, just to see what it did to him. It worked. His jaw clenched so tight I could hear his teeth protest. The cabin smelled of sage, smoke, and old rain. Jars lined the shelves, roots, bones, petals, things that glowed faintly like bottled lightning. At the center, a woman stood with her back to us, pouring something dark into a bowl carved from stone. Her hair was silver white, her skin pale as frost, and her voice, when it came, sounded like memory. I told Mira the seal would not last forever. My stomach dropped. You knew my mother. She turned, eyes the color of burned amber. I made your mother a promise. I did not expect to see the day I'd have to keep it again. Who are you? I asked. Names are power, she said, smiling faintly. But you may call me Isolde. Damien's posture stayed tense. We need your help. The suppression broke. Isolde studied me, her gaze sharp enough to skin. Yes. And not naturally, Damien asked. She nodded. The curse was designed to fade only if her heart recognized its bond. Someone triggered it. Her gaze slid between us, knowing. Oh no, I said quickly. No, we're not, whatever you're implying. Isolde's smile deepened. The bond does not lie, child. The alpha who found you is the one written in your mother's mark. I froze. Written? What does that mean? The sigil over your heart, she said, gesturing. It ties you to the line of Vale. It's not coincidence he was sent. It's design, I turned slowly to Damien. Vale, as in your name, Vale. He didn't look surprised, just tired. It's not uncommon for packs to arrange fated lines. Arranged, I repeated, like a supernatural marriage contract? Like a curse, he said. Something sharp twisted in my chest. So this entire time, protecting me, saving me, you weren't just doing your job. You were fulfilling a family deal. It's not that simple. Seems pretty simple to me, I snapped. You were born to bring me back, maybe even breed me like the rest of them. The air crackled. His expression flickered, hurt, anger, restraint. Then he stepped forward, closing the space between us in one silent, dangerous move. If that's what I wanted, he said quietly, you'd already be in chains. I stared up at him, heart hammering. Not a great argument. If that's what I wanted, he said again, slower now, I wouldn't be standing between you and every alpha that's trying to claim you. The witch's laughter cut through the tension. Ah, the bond flares bright. You two burn whether you want to or not. Can you help us? Damien bit out. Perhaps, Isolde said. But help has a price. Name it, he said instantly. She looked at me. It's not his to pay. It's hers, I hesitated. What kind of price? The witch raised her hand. Her palm glowed faintly, and suddenly the mark beneath my skin burned again. The room dimmed around us, as if the light itself recoiled. You carry a lineage of betrayal, Isolde said. To control it, you must unbind the lie at its root. Which is the oath that ties your fates, she said, glancing at Damien. You must both bleed into the same sigil and speak what is true, or your bond will consume you. I looked at him, heart pounding. And what's true? He didn't hesitate. That I was sent to protect you, but I stayed because I couldn't walk away. Silence fell. The witch's gaze flicked to me. And you? My throat tightened. The words clawed up before I could stop them. I should hate you, I whispered, for lying, for hiding things. But when I look at you, I don't feel fear. I feel home. The mark over my heart flared. The witch smiled, satisfied. So it begins. Pain tore through me, white hot like lightning in my veins. I cried out, clutching my chest. Damien caught me before I fell, pulling me against him. The scent of him, earth and smoke, grounded me even as the magic surged. Then, suddenly, it stopped. The fire went out. The air cleared. The mark over my heart had changed, no longer just a crescent. Now a second sigil overlapped it. The crest of Vale. Our bond had sealed. What did you do? I gasped. I made it real, the witch said. Now you are truly tied, Alpha and Omega, bound by blood oath. You will feel what the other feels. You had no right, Damien snarled. I had every right, Isolde said calmly. It was fated long before either of you drew breath. Then her expression darkened. But beware, little Luna. When a bond forms outside the council's blessing, the price is blood. Whose? I asked. Yours or his, she said. Only the moon decides which. As we left the cabin, the wind shifted. Somewhere far below in the valley, a howl rose, long, mournful, and answered by dozens more. Damien's hand brushed mine as we walked, just once, just enough. Our bond hummed faintly in my chest, and for the first time, I felt what he felt. Grief, guilt, and something dangerous tangled underneath. You okay? He asked quietly. No, I said, but I'm starting to understand why. He glanced back at the mountain behind us. They'll come for us soon. Then we'd better be ready. Chapter 6. The Hunter's Moon. By the time we reached the ridge, the sun had died behind the mountains. The air smelled like iron and endings. We'd been running for hours, and every step echoed the same thought through my skull. They're coming. The bond inside my chest pulsed in rhythm with Damien's heartbeat. It was steady, controlled, terrifyingly calm. I felt every shift in his breathing, every flare of his anger when my pace faltered, every flash of pain he refused to show. And beneath it all, something deeper, something like love, but sharper. The valley below shimmered in the half-light. Dozens, no, hundreds of eyes gleamed in the darkness. Wolves, the pack, my father's army. Tell me you have a plan, I whispered. I have a very bad one, Damien said. Those are my favorite kind. He gave me a look that was half exasperation, half awe. You're too calm for this. I think I'm past calm. I've entered the acceptance phase of bad life choices. He almost smiled, but his hand tightened around the knife at his side. The moon broke through the clouds, blood red and swollen. Its light hit me, and my mark burned to life beneath my hoodie. The moment it did, the howls started. They can feel me, I said. They know. I'll draw them away, he said, already stepping forward. The hell you will. He turned back, eyes flashing silver. Lyra, don't Lyra me. We're bound, remember? You die, I die, not if I sever the bond first. The words hit like a blade. You'd do that? He didn't answer. His silence said everything. Branches snapped, shapes moved through the trees, circling, closing in. My instincts screamed, run, shift, fight, survive. I felt my pulse sync with the rhythm of the pack, the way I used to hum songs I didn't remember learning. One by one, the wolves emerged. Dozens of them, fur glinting in the moonlight, eyes locked on me. At their center stood a man with dark hair streaked with gray, wearing the symbol of the Crescent Hollow Pack on his collar. My father. You've grown, he said, and you've wasted my time. His voice was deep, familiar, cold. Come home, daughter. The council will forgive much if you obey. Forgive you, you mean, I said. You sold me to them once. You don't get to call me daughter. You think the world will spare you because you hide behind a traitor? His gaze slid to Damien. He was sworn to me before you were born. The words punched through me like a shot. He's lying, Damien said immediately. Am I? My father asked. Did you tell her, Alpha Vale? Did you tell her who signed the contract that made you her protector? I turned. Damien, it doesn't matter, he said. I made my choice. Tell me the truth, I said. He hesitated, and that was all the answer I needed. You knew, I whispered, from the beginning. Yes, he said, voice breaking, but it stopped being an order the moment I saw you. The bond between us flared, pain, longing, fury. I felt his guilt crash through me like a tidal wave. I wanted to hate him. I couldn't. You were supposed to deliver her, my father snarled, not defile the bloodline with your weakness. Damien bared his teeth. You should have killed me when you had the chance. I still can, my father said, and lifted his hand. The wolves lunged. Everything became motion. Damien met them head-on, shifting mid-run, his wolf bursting forward in a flash of silver and shadow. He tore through the first wave with brutal precision, claws flashing under the moonlight. I tried to run, but my body refused. My blood was boiling, the mark searing through my chest. Every instinct screamed that I wasn't prey anymore. Something inside me broke, then rose. The world blurred. I felt my bones stretch, my vision sharpen, pain ripped through my spine, but it was glorious, liberating. And then I was running on 4 legs instead of 2. A howl tore from my throat, raw, wild, defiant. Every wolf stopped mid-charge. Damien turned, silver eyes wide. Lyra! My fur shimmered under the moonlight, white streaked with gold, the same color as my mother's, her bloodline reborn. Get her! My father roared. Too late. I moved faster than I should have, claws cutting through air and earth. I slammed into him, sending us both tumbling down the slope. His teeth sank into my shoulder. Pain flashed white-hot. I bit back hard enough to taste blood and ash. You should have left me human, I snarled, voice half-growl. You were never human, he spat. You were a weapon. He lunged again, but a shadow blurred between us. Damien. He hit my father like a thunderbolt, tearing him away from me. The 2 alphas collided, silver against black, their snarls echoing through the valley. I tried to move, but my vision dimmed. The bond thrummed painfully, Damien's pulse fading in my chest. I could feel his exhaustion, his pain, his fight slipping. If he dies, you die. The witch's words echoed. No, not like this. I crawled toward them, every breath agony. I pressed my hand, paw, whatever I was, over my heart. The mark pulsed, glowing bright enough to light the trees. Lyra, he shouted, don't. Too late. I whispered the only word I knew would break the curse. Vale. The bond snapped into place like a detonator. Light exploded. The valley filled with a roar that shook the earth. Every wolf dropped to its knees, howling in pain or reverence. And when the light faded, Damien stood, human again, covered in blood that wasn't his. My father was gone. Only ash remained. The silence that followed was terrible and holy. I stumbled forward, shaking, half-shifted, exhausted. Damien caught me before I fell, arms closing around me like a promise. "You should have run," he whispered. "You should have told me the truth," I said. "You would have hated me." Maybe. But I'd still be alive to do it. He huffed out a broken laugh and pressed his forehead to mine. His eyes shimmered with that silver fire again, but this time it wasn't rage, it was awe. "You broke the bond's curse," he said. "You freed us." "No," I said softly. "We freed me." He smiled, tired and real. "So what now, little Luna?" I looked out at the valley. The pack had scattered, the moon was pale again, and for the first time in my life I wasn't hiding. "Now," I said, "we make our own pack." Epilogue: The New Moon. 3 weeks after the battle, the forest finally stopped whispering my name. The ashes of Crescent Hollow scattered into the river valley below, carried by wind and rain. No more howls, no more letters slid under my door, no more being hunted. For the first time in 27 years, the world was quiet, and it was terrifyingly beautiful. I woke to sunlight spilling through the cabin window, warming the scar on my shoulder. The mark beneath my collarbone had faded from gold to pale silver, a ghost of what it was. It no longer burned. It pulsed, soft and steady, in rhythm with my heart. Damien stood outside, shirtless again. It was his natural state of being, apparently, chopping wood like a man making amends with gravity. Each swing of the axe was smooth, deliberate, cathartic. His wolf lingered close to the surface now. I could feel it in the way the air shifted when he breathed. For the first time I didn't flinch at it. I pulled on my boots, stepped outside, and leaned against the porch post. "You're terrible at pretending you're not showing off," I said. He didn't look up. "I'm terrible at pretending anything around you." "Flirt," I said, smirking. "What happened to stoic alpha who only speaks in death threats?" "He met a woman who mocks him while he's holding an axe," he said. "He's evolving." I laughed. Real, warm, startling in its simplicity. I hadn't laughed like that since before the threats, before the blood, before I remembered who I was. We built the new cabin on the edge of the ridge, where the air always smelled of pine and rain. It wasn't much, a fire pit, a bed, a view that made the moon look shy. But it was ours. No councils, no pack, no contracts. Just freedom. And whatever this fragile, furious thing between us was becoming. At night, I'd dream of my mother again. She never spoke now. She just stood under a silver moon, watching, proud. Sometimes I'd whisper to her, "You were right. The world is cruel, but it's not hopeless." And I'd wake to find Damien beside me, his hand resting near mine but never quite touching, as if still afraid to take what fate hadn't offered freely. One evening, the witch's raven found us. A flash of black wings and a note tied to its leg. I unfolded it with trembling fingers. "The council has fallen. The hollow is yours, Luna of the new moon. Lead wisely, Isolde." I stared at the parchment for a long time before passing it to Damien. "She called you Luna," he said quietly. "That makes you the Alpha now," I finished. He smiled, small, reverent. "Fitting. Doesn't that make you my beta?" He raised a brow. "That's not what your bond says." "Oh?" I teased. "And what does it say?" He stepped closer, eyes gleaming with that silver fire that had once terrified me. "It says you're mine, and I'm yours. Titles be damned." The bond between us hummed, alive but calm now. No more burning, no more war, just warmth, the kind that doesn't demand, only stays. That night, under a clean white moon, we marked the start of something new. Not as Alpha and Omega, not as protector and protected, but as equals who survived what should have destroyed them. When he kissed me, it wasn't fate. It wasn't instinct. It was choice. And that made it holy. I keep the first letter. "We've found you, little Luna," in the drawer by my bed. A reminder of where I came from. A reminder that sometimes the monsters aren't out there in the woods. They're the ones who name you weak just to keep you afraid. I'm not afraid anymore. My name is Lyra Quinn Vale, daughter of the fallen Luna, heir of the Hollow, Alpha by choice, and the woman who burned her past to build her peace. And if you've ever had to lose everything just to find yourself, you'll understand why I still sleep with the window open. Because when the moon rises, I don't hide from it anymore. I sing back. If you've ever rebuilt your world from the ashes, hit subscribe. Because sometimes survival isn't about running from your monsters. It's about learning you were the storm all along.